What is going on, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love? My name is Jamal Pope, aka J Phoenix, and this is going to be your astrology forecast for today, May 26, 2023. This is my second take of this. I literally made like the first one was like 25, 26 minutes long. I might try and get this one a little bit shorter. And then I realized that I had the wrong audio input and it was connected to something else and you couldn't hear a damn thing. So I'm having to remake this. And it kind of makes sense too, because it kind of relates to my whole analogy in soccer where you have the offsides flag come up. That was literally an offsides moment right there. Just a small that's all that is Mercury in shadow still in Taurus, man. That is like, come on. I didn't have my freaking speaker in so y'all couldn't hear me. I went in too, but that's okay. Let's hop right into this. Well, hey, I could have moaned and complained more, or I could just get on here and redo it. It is what it is, right? Well, we still have the sun in Gemini. It'll be at 5 degrees for most of the day. That square to Saturn is getting tighter. It's getting a lot tighter. Sun, of course, is looking, it's that curious energy. It's looking for some type of companionship, some type of relatability, wanting to go out and communicate. But that square, of course, over to Saturn, and the moon, of course, having squared it earlier in early, yesterday. But like I said, that square is getting tighter. With Saturn being in Pisces, there's definitely some illusions going on as far as that goes. And Saturn's really going to be asking us, like, hey, I know you're curious about certain things. Awkward stare from across the room with Sun and the South Node. But are you sure that's what you really want? Are you sure that you should really be talking to those people or communicating with those different things? Bringing that which is in your periphery into view. Are you sure you want to bring that there? Because there can be this illusion that that's going to bring you what you've been looking for, the fantasy, if you will, right? Saturn's like, the dream, teamwork makes the dream work. That's what Saturn is really going to be teaching us, that teamwork makes the dream work. And it's also going to teach us that the dream isn't built overnight. Okay? It's not built overnight. But of course, like I said, you have the sun still making that quincunx over to the South Node in Scorpio, that bad boy, bad girl kind of energy, wanting to connect. Gemini is the lover, so definitely it's looking to connect. You remember what I said in yesterday's forecast? They're sitting right next to you in the classroom, not across the room. They're right next to you. They're probably your childhood best friend. Like, this is literally the trope in anime and like a lot of the slice of life animes where like the main character is like just so focused on this one person across the room. They don't even wear their school uniform the right way, right? They probably wear like a different color, but they're edgy, they're cool, they're a little popular, right? But then you have the childhood best friend next to you, you know them forever, right? You're really good friend. You're really, you get along very well with their family. They're pretty much like a sibling to you, right? And you're like, nah, that can't be it. I'm like, no, you might want to look right there. You might want to look there. It could be a person. It could be a hobby. It could be something from your childhood, right? That kind of comes back, if you will. This is the 12th house. The 12th house the 12th house, any 12th house energy, it's a lot of reviewing kind of energy. It could potentially come back. Now, we do have Mars at 3 degrees coming into the squaring energy with the nodes as well. So, yeah, Mars definitely is wanting to move things forward, but now it's going to get caught up in the whole node thing. Mars and Leo, definitely this very creative, passion, fiery energy. So, if anything, Mars is probably feeling better than it has in a while, especially while it's in Cancer, because that was sort of like, I have to feel good before I act. Now Mars and Leo's like, I'm ready, let's go. But then it squares the nodes, right? And look where the North Node is. It's in Taurus with Jupiter here, with Mercury, which is still in shadow. It won't come out of shadow until it hits 15 degrees. And then Uranus in Taurus, which is shaking things up. It's going to start shaking up things on the global scale. And that's all about values, right? It's all about the seemingly mundane stuff, right? The basics. South Node in Scorpio may be a little bit more enticing as far as like which way to take our action. Do we go this way? Do we go that way? Do we go this way? Do we go that way? And of course, Pluto's still over here. Yes, it's coming off of the exact opposition, but it's still there saying, like, hey, I know you want to step into the new world and that new place and that new you, but we still got to go back and review a few things. We still got to go back and review some Capricorn things, all right? The moon is going to be in Leo, of course. It's going to continue to move throughout Leo, and it'll enter into Virgo later on into the evening, which I'm going to show you that sort of thing. So, being that this is Friday, school's going to be out for most of the country and stuff like that. Memorial Day weekend. There's definitely going to be a desire to party and stuff, but the party's going to be a little bit more muted. Now, I'm not saying that not to go out and have fun and do stuff, but what I am saying is definitely be careful about who you're having fun with. I wouldn't really necessarily recommend going to the club this weekend. I really don't think that's really where you should go, going to the club and stuff. And I'll show you why. It has mainly to do with the moon and how it moves throughout the rest of the day and stuff. But this is definitely going to be more of a day where you kind of want to just focus on like the basic stuff. You know what I mean? Focus on the basic stuff. Nothing that's like way too crazy out there. Now, being that this is Memorial Day weekend, some of you guys may spend time with family, right? Well, Venus is in Cancer. It's going to enter into that third decan of Cancer, which is arguably, and at least I feel, is I feel it is the most emotional. The reason why is it the most emotional? Well, when Venus is in that first decan, it's really more personal, right? Venus is in that second decan, it starts to include more of the periphery, like your spouse, your family, like your mom, your dad, stuff like that. When it gets to that third decan, that's when it gets out. And even though, it's coming off of the sextile to Uranus, and it's coming into the trine with Neptune, but it's still going to be squaring over to Chiron, right? So there's definitely this potential for some of that. If there's any family drama, just be wary of it potentially leaking outside of the family, because there's definitely a potential for that to happen, for weird drama, weird stuff to leak out. And why will it leak out? You would think that, well, Venus is in Cancer, it's like a nice little energy for it to be in. Well, Venus is still out of bounds. Okay, it's still out of bounds, meaning that yellow flag is coming up, right? And anytime a planet is out of bounds and or offside, the energy is going to be a little bit exaggerated, right? So Venus is definitely looking to feel good about things. I think the potential here is, if things leak outside of like the family unit, as far as like different dynamics, whatever like that, be wary of people that kind of leak sort of things to get your opinion on them. So like if someone comes to you and they start like just spilling all of this different things, all this stuff about their family, and ask your opinion about it, be wary of that, because they're probably looking for some sort of validation, right? It's still squaring over to Chiron, right? They might be looking for some sort of validation. Maybe they're wanting you to lick their wounds in a sense. They're wanting you to lick their wounds in a sense. That's sort of the darker side of this, Venus entering into this space and like squaring this energy, is that there's this want to have like your wounds licked, if you will, by other people, because you're not really getting it from yourself, you're not really getting it from your family, so you're not going to go outside of that, right? You'll be like, hey, yo, so this and that happened. What do you think about that? Aren't they crazy? You should be like, I don't know, man. That's all you. There's a potential for that to happen. People literally going outside the family unit just to seek validation, when really it has nothing to do with those people. It has nothing to do with those people. Now, the moon in Leo definitely wanting us to, it wants to feel the love, it wants to feel passion, it wants to feel sort of like that thirst to, go forth and really create and be bold. It's wanting to do that. And in many ways, I mean, obviously you have Mars here, which is kind of leading the charge, but Mars is about to run into that wall, that crossroads of like, do I go this way? Do I go that way? So because Mars is coming to that point and Mars is about action, it's about to come to this sort of decision point. But we can see that Mars is starting to quincunx over to Saturn as well. So Saturn's looking like just sort of waiting for whatever this decision that we decide to make. And it's also reminding us, it's like, hey, are you sure that that dream, that fantasy that you have in your head, are you sure it actually matches what you truly value? Are you sure it matches that? Or is it just something that you feel is going to bring some sort of like, are you just trying to fulfill some sort of desire? Honestly, some type of desire. Is that what you're trying to fulfill? Now, the moon being here in Leo, so we're going to probably be relying more on that energy because of this. We're going to be relying a little bit more on that energy because, like I said, the sun's coming into that square with Saturn as well. So the planets that would be helping us normally, that want to feel good and have a little bit of positivity, they're about to come into some challenges. So we're going to, the easier thing would be to the default would be to more rely on like the moon, right? But here's what the moon's doing. This is the reason why I think that you really shouldn't go out and like party, right? So as this moon continues, bam. So, right, 27 degrees. It's going to quincunx over to Neptune. It's going to be around 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, if you're on the West Coast, that's like what? That's what, 2:30, right? By this time, you probably would have already received any of those invitations to like go out and stuff like that. I honestly would say just to decline them because there should be more of a focus on what you're looking to build in your life. And the relationships, you see all this energy has now moved to the seventh house. So like the focus should be more on the relationship aspect. Yeah, it's squaring all of this Taurian energy, right? But if you look at it too, while the moon is ahead of all this energy, so yeah, there's nothing else in Taurus that's going to really be squaring per se. All these planets will eventually hit that spot, so that the memory of it will still be there, especially when Mercury hits there, because Mercury is going to start speeding up eventually. It's still moving a little slow, but it will speed up. But like I said, that moon is going to make that quincunx over to Neptune. Awkward stare from across the room. It's in that 10th house energy. Where's Saturn? It's right here. So it's interesting. It's interesting. You have the quincunx with Mars and Saturn, and then you have the other quincunx between the moon and Neptune. So you have like these two awkward shifts from across the room when it comes to the Leo and Pisces energy, you know? And it's funny too, because this Pisces energy is in the 5th house, which is Leo's natural house. So that's why it can actually be pretty easy to get caught up in the illusion on like, hey, if we go for that thing, that sounds pretty fun, right? But we have to just definitely be aware of, once again, coming back to our values. You see, sun will be at 5 degrees, 22 minutes. That square is tightening. Mars, 3 degrees, 34 minutes. That square pretty much at that point is exact, right? Now, as you move this forward, the moon will come into Virgo right before midnight. Right before midnight, the moon will come into Virgo. And then, bam, another awkward stare from across the room with Pluto and Aquarius. Pluto and Aquarius, of course, is like, hey, it's like showing us, we're getting a sneak peek into the new world and who we are in the new world. and where we're vibing in that new world. But Pluto is retrograde. It's the only retrograde planet. And it's like, we got to go back and review some Capricorn stuff. And the moon in Virgo in the 8th house is saying that, I mean, being that it's at 0 degrees, that it can definitely, 0 degrees is very pure energy. So what you put in is what you get out. So if you put in to this night, it's going to be, like I said, 11:30 p.m. Eastern time. So when 10:30, 8:30, 10:30, 9:30, 8:30 Pacific time. So what you put into this night is what you're going to get out emotionally, right? And Virgo can be very particular about all the details and stuff. So the moon in Virgo is going to want to be very particular about all of these deeper emotional details. So that's why I'm saying, like, if you kind of go out and kind of go wild, if you go buck wild, you might not really feel good about yourself in the morning. You might be a little more judgy on yourself in the morning because the moon will be in Virgo. Don't even allow yourself to go there. Don't even allow yourself to go there, especially if you know that you're going to be kind of like that way. You know what I mean? Because then it's going to oppose Saturn the next day. Right? It's going to oppose Saturn. It's going to square the sun. We're going to get that first quarter square of the sun. So that's what I'm saying. Like, this is an interesting weekend, right? So being that it's Memorial Day weekend, a lot of people are going to be spending more time with their families and stuff like that, right? So there's several different, I can see a lot of different scenarios coming out. I can see the whole, weird little disagreements with family members about the most basic stuff, right? So Venus is still going to be out of bounds, but disagreements about the most basic fundamental stuff. So don't be surprised if you have like a family member, maybe like an uncle or an aunt or something, or a cousin or something that, might overanalyze where you are in life or something like that, because that could potentially happen, especially with the moon being in Virgo. There might be this sort of overanalyzation, and it's going to be more of a feeling type of thing too. So it's not necessarily steeped in facts. They might just feel like that. So just be wary of that. It's like, oh, you should do these things, and then your life's going to be amazing. But only you can determine that. They may have a little bit of insight. It really depends, honestly, based off of the whole square to Chiron, if certain things have been healed, or if they're wanting you to just lick, if they're just wanting you to lick their wounds, or vice versa, or something like that, right? So there's definitely going to be a propensity, I would say, not necessarily propensity, but there's definitely going to be sort of like this yearning to kind of lick our wounds a bit this weekend, and to kind of seek out people that definitely make us feel good and kind of like keep us up. I think this is definitely a weekend where we should definitely keep each other positive and stuff, but have people look towards what they already have and what they're building, not what's in the past. Right. I think we can acknowledge, I think we can acknowledge the past and what hurts us, but I think this is not really the time to be ruminating on it so much, but maybe to celebrate certain things in the past, because if it wasn't for those things, you wouldn't be where you are right now. Right. So with like I said, the moon coming into Virgo right before midnight, as you move it forward, and you'll see on the next one too, there's a potential to get emotionally judgy. I mean, you would think that the judgy thing is Libra, but no, that's just like the actual like action of the judgment. That's like the actual like sentence, if you will. Virgo is when you're being all critical and stuff. So we're going to start to be emotionally critical, and since it's this 8th house energy, it's going to be very deep emotional stuff. Right? And Pluto is the ruler of the 8th house. So yeah, this is going to be this whole thing where like people are going to be like, if you do this certain thing, you might get someone that literally makes all these different recommendations to you over the next few days, and saying that if you do these things, then your life's going to turn out amazing, right? Well, I would say take things with a grain of salt. But the other thing that can happen, the other thing that can happen this weekend is that you may be potentially as well approached by people that start talking to you about things that you have been studying and or have been interested in since, like, say 2012. So some of you all who are like light workers and who are awakening to your true self and your true power and stuff like that, don't be surprised if people approach you and start talking about these things too, and like are genuinely interested and want your input and stuff, right? You're not going to have all the answers. So Mercury is still in shadow. You're not going to have all the answers, but you can be somewhat of a guide to them too this time. I wouldn't be surprised if quite a few people wake up during this Memorial Day weekend, and you may be the one to facilitate some of that, right? But that's only really going to come is if you really know your value and know that things take time as well. Things do take time. That's why sometimes people don't necessarily like Taurus, because it does take time. And sometimes Taurus smells. I'm not saying that you guys smell. I'm saying that Taurus is the bull, it's the cow. They produce manure. But what is manure? It is soil. It is fertilizer. And that allows for things to grow. So that's sort of the thing. We can be looking at certain things in our life, and we can get it in our mind that it smells, right? We can get it in our mind that it smells. That doesn't really smell that good. But maybe, just maybe, that is actually fertilizer and soil. Now we have to some things in our life might actually smell, right? That might actually reek. We might need to take the trash out. We might need to empty the litter box, right? And I think that's really what's going to be happening. That's what this whole sun squaring over to Saturn is going to be saying and asking us is like, okay, that smell, is it from the trash? Is it from the litter box? Or is it just the soil that you used to plant those flowers? Maybe a little uncomfortable at first, but when the blooms come and the harvest comes, you will thank yourself later for that. So yeah, definitely don't be afraid to get down in the dirt this weekend. Probably a very good weekend to probably be a very good weekend to get out into the dirt, get into nature and stuff like that. Connect more to that sort of energy, you know. All right, let's go ahead and get the card for you guys. Yeah, so there's definitely I think it will be a positive weekend. I know there's a lot of challenging aspects with all these squares, this T square and all this energy and stuff like that. And the moon moving into Virgo, which will start to be very critical in many ways. And we can definitely start to feel once the moon goes into Virgo, we can definitely start to feel that if things aren't perfect, then things are just way off. And that's not true. It's not true. Don't listen to that. Especially with the moon opposing Saturn the next day and squaring over to the sun, causing a nice little T square, a nice little mutable T square. Yeah, there's definitely going to be sort of this element of, man, we can really psych ourselves out and think that so many things are wrong when really we have so much beautiful things that are coming forth. Don't ruin it. Don't ruin the beautiful things that are here in your life right now. Two of Pentacles. See, you're building bridges. Build a bridge and get over that shit. That's what I'm hearing. Build a bridge and get over it. There's some things that you guys have. Some things we all probably got this, right? There are some things that we have not gotten over. Build a bridge and get over that, right? You see that bridge of that light coming from one pentacle to the other, step by step, day by day. That's a very Taurian thing. We also have the Two of Swords in reverse, right? If it was upright, there'll be some sort of blockade saying up, but it's actually reverse. This is all your own doing. Any type of blockades that you might be putting on yourself, it's all your own doing. I'll draw one more card. Look at this, Ace of Wands, right? Ace of Wands. That's such a weird thing about this energy. It's definitely an energy where we can spark things off and move things forward, and we have the passion and we have the flame to really create something great. But it's not necessarily going to happen in the way that we think it will. And that's okay. And yes, it might happen a little bit slow. And that's okay. It's not going to be very fast. It's not going to be a very fast development, right? If you win the lottery this weekend, make sure that you get a financial advisor, because this is definitely the kind of energy where if you win the lottery or something like that and things just change immediately, there's going to be weird family drama, people coming out of nowhere to be like, hey, yo, what's good? There's going to be all kinds of stuff, just like weird enticements here and there, which that can happen anyways, but especially with this sort of a weekend, something that would radically change the foundation of your life and finances and money and all that sort of stuff. Definitely be careful about that, right? Definitely be careful about that if you happen to win the lottery. So, but yeah, I think what it is that, we all are looking for some type of fortune, but the best fortunes, the ones that we appreciate the most are the fortunes that we build, not the ones that we win because we scratched off some numbers on a card. So, anyways, that is all I have for this video. Second take. Actually, I think this one went better than the first one. So, I guess everything happens for a reason, right? So, anyways, that is going to be your astrology forecast for May 26, 2023. I hope that you all enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Definitely appreciate that. I love you all so much. Y'all take care, stay blessed, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.